All right, I think I'm going to end it at episode 2. I feel like that was a pretty good stopping point. We pretty much established what is going on in the first episode. We have that emotional attachment with Himmel, and then we kind of sort of ended that with the second episode by the end as we again reconnect the connection between Frieren and Himmel. I felt like these two episodes kind of worked in tandem, and I felt like that was a pretty good endpoint for me, at least in terms of like the story. I felt like that was a pretty good introduction to the world of Frieren. I don't know how much the third and fourth episode is going to connect with the first two episodes in terms of like how it flows. I mean, there's a reason why they drop all 4 episodes at once, but I'm not going to watch episode 3 and 4 just now. I'll probably watch 3 and 4 I guess next time. I don't know when. I still need to figure out like the schedule for Frieren, but regardless, I am pleased and happy of how good these first 2 episodes are. It is very slow, I will say that, but not in a bad way. I just, in terms of like pacing, this is very slow, which is kind of ironic considering the context of these episodes. We pretty much breeze through 50 years plus 26 or so years after Himmel's death and such. Like it's great. It's great. I really enjoyed the I guess this premiere of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. And what a fantastic I guess premise of the story, right? Most often than not, the story of a fantasy story is usually we're gonna have the party of oddballs and from all different races, and we're gonna be stopping the demon lord, we're gonna create the Fellowship of the Ring, and we're gonna travel to Mordor and defeat Sauron and vanquish the One Ring that rules them all. But what about afterwards? Like, what happens next? And I find that to be refreshing. I don't know how many more stories follow this route, because usually, because here's the thing, right? Usually after the D&D party vanquishes the demon lord and win the day and the campaign is over, if they want to continue, then we need a new villain. That's usually the case. We need a new dark empire that just emerged from the depths. Somehow Palpatine returned and the First Order appears, and suddenly Star Wars feels convoluted once again. But this is not the case. I love that. I love that we are exploring the idea of these party members, these heroes of this world, right? These renowned heroes that has been praised by many, those who have been crafted statues for them and enshrined and immortalized, but we never really see them. This is essentially what happens after Happily Ever After. We got that happy ever after moment in the first episode when the party was essentially, they just got knighted or they just got thanked by the king, and they huge party, everybody's like happy, the kingdom is saved. And they all just stood there watching the stars, this meteor shower. That would have been the end of the adventure. That would have been the end of a story. If this was any other fantasy story, then that would be like the final moment, right? When everything's okay, everything was defeated, we all get together, we have a little bit of a dance sequence, and everybody's like fine, all the happy music kicks in, everybody's like smiling, past grievances all reconciled, everybody's like hugging, and it's like, hey, yeah, we did it! And then they look up into the stars and like, oh yeah, like happy ever after, right? But then it continues. It's not over. It's not the end. Life continues on. We get this fantastic montage of Frieren just roaming around, and the fact that she does not seem to age. I still don't know on whether or not if she is immortal or if she just lived very, very long lives. It is very Lord of the Ring-esque. This world that I'm getting, you know, it's very high fantasy. You got like the standard, you got the mages, you got the elves that live forever, and then you have like the dwarves and all of the other fantasy creatures. It is very Lord of the Rings in terms of like influences. But then again, like how many other fantasy stories, especially in anime, isn't? But the concept of time and how it is used here, and especially in context of Frieren, a person who apparently has not fully connected with most of her party members, especially Himmel. It hits. It most definitely hits. 10 years for Himmel is like a long time. I mean, heck, if you look at all of these other fantasy stories, like even Lord of the Rings, you know, what I was just like using as an example, like the events of Lord of the Rings, that's pretty short. Like them going to the Shire, going from the Shire to reaching Mordor, that did not take 10 years. That was pretty quick. And the amount of bond that these characters had, like it's very strong. You feel that. And here we're playing with that idea where this party, this adventure has been for 10 years now. 10 years. Himmel probably saw more in Frieren than Frieren has saw in Himmel. So when Himmel died, it hits. Suddenly the realization hits that, oh shit, I haven't known him. We've known each other for 10 years, but I haven't really get to know him that much. Now it's too late. And now all of my other friends are gonna go. And now only one remains, the dwarf. And so we embark on this journey of... It's not really a journey of self-discovery. No, it's a journey of realizing how precious time is. That's essentially it. Well, Frieren is discovering more about herself, but it's not really that. The main point is to tell us, the audience, right, that time is precious. And we may not see each other that much, and we need to spend as much time as we need, especially with our loved ones, especially people who are sick, who are on the verge of dying. Like those moments are precious, and they will be with you, and they will only be with you, because after you die, then that's it. They don't have like television in this fantasy world. They don't have like cameras that can capture time and immortalize them forever. No, they don't. And I'm really fascinated, and I'm really curious to see where they're gonna go from here on out. I think they're gonna go all out in terms of like the amount of time that we're gonna be spending along with Frieren. As in, I do believe that in the future, we're gonna be jumping more and more. Years and years, decades into the future. Fern, who at first we saw as a mere child, is now more of a young adult, right? A teenager, a young adult, I don't know what age, but she has definitely matured more, and we're probably going to see her even more mature, and we kind of get a glimpse of that even in the opening. And that is exactly what we are getting. The things that we did not get in terms of like the connection between the old party with Frieren, we are going to get with a new party with Frieren, right? And I love how much we are essentially within the same boots as Frieren. Like we are Frieren in these two episodes. We pretty much embody and we pretty much fully relate to her. Because for her, it's just like the montages. We see the montages. They felt like a couple of seconds, minutes, even. We do not age. Frieren does not age in those moments, right? We are practically the same. And yet everybody's around us changes. Fern grows older. Himmel dies. The world forever changes. The world continues to move forward, and we do not. We are still stuck, forever, immortalized, stagnant. Feels quick, but then the sudden realization: oh shit, it's been 10 years. Oh shit, it's been 50 years. And how much nonchalant Frieren was most of the time, except for like the first shock of like, oh, well, it's been years already. But then she moves on. That is exactly how I felt. That is exactly how I felt. 50 years has passed ever since that first montage. Seeing Himmel again in his very old age, quite a shocker. But then you immediately realize, oh yeah, time flies. Time flies. Can't really do anything about it. Move on. And then he dies, and then the sudden realization hits. Frieren has not known this person at all. We have not known this person at all, just like Frieren. Our knowledge of Himmel is practically similar to Frieren's knowledge of Himmel. And that is crazy. And I love that the show is hammering that down. Because what is about to happen next is essentially, okay, Frieren in the past did not really care about the emotional connections with her past comrades. Or maybe she does care, but she doesn't really have the she doesn't know how to fully articulate that emotion well, or that connection, or she doesn't realize that the connection was already there, but she just kind of glanced over it and such. Like, we don't know, but essentially, her connection with the previous party, the original party, yeah, just like us, we barely know them, but we want to know them, and it sucks that we cannot know them because they are dying, and that is the part that hits. Right, that is the emotional part. Even for me, like, it got to me when Frieren cried during Himmel as the last dirt basically just covered his casket, and like we never got to see him again. I felt that. I absolutely felt that. I feel like for some people, they have been in that situation before. I have been to many, many burials. Family members, friends, a lot. I only know them for the full duration of my time, right? If somebody died today, then chances are, if a family member died today, then chances are I only know them for like 23 years. 10 years ago, I only know my grandmother for only 10 years. And even then, 10 years might probably be like, maybe 5-6 years, give or take, considering like the first 4 years of my life, I barely know what is going on. Like, I have no much memory of that, so. I don't know them. That sucks. It sucks because now Now, as you grow old, you realize how much precious those times are. And you don't know them. You don't know them as much as you think you do. That sucks. That is exactly how Frieren was thinking and feeling, because she finally realized that, right? You don't realize that until you grow older, until you've matured, until you've realized, and then you look back and then you go, oh, yeah, I barely have any memories of her, of anyone, like that is exactly how Frieren was thinking. It's always those moments, especially when they're still in the casket, you can still see them. Even when they are dead, you can still see them, right? They're just behind a thin veil, and you just, they're just lying there. You can still see them. But then they put the casket down. Then you just don't see them again. And then they bury them. Then they put the dirt. And as they put the dirt, you realize that is the last time that you are going to see them. In person, physically speaking. Like, that is the last time that you are going to see them. And usually it is exactly at that moment where I finally cry. Because before then, it hasn't hit me yet. Because I still can't see them. It's not until I couldn't see them. So I find Frieren's whole emotional feeling, her own emotional realization, that hit of like, oh shit, is very powerful. And very human. Thematic. Very thematic, considering that Frieren's entire journey after that is trying to figure out human connection, human emotions and human connection. Like, she wants to learn more about humanity, essentially, right? So that was that. And now, as we move forward, we're gonna be spending a lot of time with Fern, a lot of time with probably new members. There's a couple of characters in the opening that we haven't met yet. There's a character with red hair, I believe, a male character and such, and there's a couple of other characters. Like, there's also a blonde female character and such. Like, we have not met them. We don't know who they are. Maybe they're gonna be a new member on our party. Maybe not. Maybe we're just gonna meet them along the way, maybe, once or twice, and then we're just gonna go back to them and then realize, oh shit, it's been 70 years. Oh fuck. And we are gonna build that connection. We're gonna build that connection. We are finally in the shoes of Frieren, where we are building this connection with Fern and with all of these other characters that we are about to meet for a while, a long while. We're gonna build that connection. We're going to relate to them. We are going to love them. And then they're going to die. That is essentially what they're gonna do. That is essentially what they're gonna do. Fern is gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. Frieren is gonna live. Frieren is us. Frieren is the audience. Frieren is us, right? And it's gonna hurt. And it's gonna suck. That's just how it is. Because that is reality. That is essentially it. Yeah. I think the first episode just sets all of this up really well. And then we move on into the second episode, and then the second episode, as I said, kind of return back into the first episode, kind of bit of a full circle moment where we get this final and that's not really a final farewell, but it's more so a memory. Frieren remembers a final piece of memory. It's not really a final piece of memory, but she remembers one of those core memories of Himmel, talking about like the the blue seed flowers and such. Then she sees the blue seed flowers, and it's great because it has that emotional climax to it. It really does. And I can't believe that they had that sort of feeling in episode 2. Episode 2. Usually these are saved for like finales. But we've already had a finale, and that finale was the beginning of the first episode. Every moment is a finale. Every moment is years that has passed, moments that are gone, right? You try to remember what happened yesterday, you're not going to remember anything apart from maybe 1 or 2 moments, but then that's it. Remember what happens last week, trying to remember what happened a year ago, trying to remember what happened a decade ago. You're probably only going to remember like maybe 2, 3, 4 major things, but then that's it. You're not going to remember every moment. You don't. That is what terrifies. That is the terrifying thing, right? And it's so perfectly done with the montages of the show. Once again, like I said, it's like these are all the memories that Frieren remembers. Boom. Suddenly, years have passed. Suddenly, it's 2023. Still remember what happened in the beginning of 2022? A pandemic is about to hit us. This should be over soon. And it kind of is, 3 years later. But the effect is still there. A lot of things are slowly catching up, like a lot of media that are supposed to be released in 2022 in 2020 is supposed to be and is now being released right now. Like time is catching up to us. You are feeling that. And Frieren does an excellent job in that as well. Of time slowly catching up to you. And how do you deal with that? I mentioned in the beginning of this review of how I felt like the show is very slow. And that is a compliment. Slow burn shows can be boring. They absolutely can. I think Frieren does an excellent job in not making that boring. Because as slow as it is, it's doing the complete opposite. It's meant to be slow because it is going fast, if that makes sense. You would try to revel in almost every moment because every moment could be something special because you will never know when you're going to lose a character in this show. Not because of death, no, just because of natural causes. They die of old age. It's not like they have like severe health issues or whatever, you know, some of them might, but mostly normal. And I find that to be very meditative. Meditative. It's very zen in a way. Like I was watching these first 2 episodes, and I don't really want to talk that much, you know? Like most of my reaction has been, oh cool, great shot, cool, interesting, cool. Like there's not much major commentary apart from like a couple of moments. Because I just feel so it just feels so transportive. It really does. I really enjoy the world of this show. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. The animation is so well done. It is very solid so far. These first 2 episodes has been very solid in terms of like their production quality, because sometimes first episode really great and then second and third episode you can kind of see a bit of a decline, but so far it's been really good. I enjoyed the character movement and the character animation themselves, like they're just great. I love them. They're great. They're wonderful. There's a lot of there was a moment when Frieren was just like holding a feather pen, and she was just like doing this, but with the feather at the top, like as like just like this, like even those kind of like tiny little moments of character acting and just characters doing, basic stuff. It's so well done. It is so well done, and I wish that the show will continue with that as well. Like I love that. It adds life to the characters. The world feels alive as well. I love that there's a lot of these shots where we are seeing our main characters, we are seeing them, side by side talking with each other, but we're also seeing like the characters in the background. There was a shot where you see like a group of people are just like sitting and they're eating and talking, but they are moving, and I'm like, yes. In a lot of other shows, those would be static images. They would not be moving at all. And I love that in these first 2 episodes they do move, and I wish that they move more in the next couple of episodes. I really want this level of quality to stay consistent. I am hearing that this is going to be 2 cours, so I am kind of worried, because usually these first couple of episodes really well done, but then the next couple of episodes, especially after we go into like the second cour, it's going to dip down into quality. I don't want that to happen, even though that's kind of almost inevitable. Like I kind of know that that's probably gonna be the case, because almost every show at this point has that degrade in quality, and I really wish that Frieren is not going to be the case. I hope so, because this is solid. This is a solid first episode. From the animation itself, the direction as well. I do want to talk about the direction. It's going from scene to scene. It always feels so natural. Those montages, once again, are great. Shot compositions are great. Voice acting is really good as well. I really love Frieren. I love Fern. I was in the back of my mind, I was kind of worried about Fern and her voice, because I'm usually not a big fan of these young characters in anime with very soft and very childish voices that are like very high pitched, because it feels like they're trying to be too cute, right? That's sometimes, and I usually don't like that approach when it comes to like these types of characters. But Fern, really good. I really enjoy her. And then she grows older, and I'm like, oh, great, great. Overall, just fantastic production quality as well. Music. I can't not forget about the music. Beautiful. It nails the fantastical, the whimsical, the transportive nature of these fantasy, I guess, soundtracks, because you need that. That is a thing that a lot of fantasy shows, especially in anime, that is very lacking, and that is the music. Like, the music is almost a part of the heart and soul of a fantasy show or a fantasy movie. Like, watch The Lord of the Rings, listen to the music. It connects. You are immediately transported. You even if you're not watching The Lord of the Rings, you listen to the theme of the Shire, and then you listen to the theme of Gondor, of Mordor, of the Battle of the Pelennor Fields or whatever. Like, you feel immersed. You feel like you are in that world. It feels like music from that world. You feel that bombast, you feel that gravity, you feel that magical, whimsical feel. And I got that with Frieren. I usually don't get it with a lot of other animes, especially, like that are set in fantasy. You know. So it's very rare for this to happen, but it did. And I'm enjoying it. Because I guess the only other shows that I think falls into this is either Made in Abyss, bless Kevin Penkin, and Violet Evergarden, which isn't really a fantasy show, but it's set in a fictional world, which is also composed by Evan Call. It is very reminiscent to Violet Evergarden. The music that I am hearing in Frieren is very reminiscent to the music in Violet Evergarden. It has a very similar style, but it's also very fantasy. The music in Violet Evergarden feels whimsical and explorative, if that is a word. It very much embodies the character of Violet in that show, where she is kind of like us, someone who is like a fish out of water in a way, in terms of like the world and how it works, and she's finding her way and trying to figure out her place in life. And the music pretty much embodies that feeling of adventure, exploration, and also a lot of the sadness. And with Frieren, you feel that. You feel how much it embodies the fantasy world. You feel how much it embodies Frieren herself and her journey. It has a very somber tone to it. A somber, melancholic tone. With a tinge of... Okay, we're gonna explore next. A tinge of exploration, a tinge of adventure that is about to happen soon. But overall, to me, it feels mostly meditative. It feels like you are just sitting there and pondering about like what happened to your life before and what you're gonna do. It's really good. It's really good. I think that's pretty much it for the things that I want to talk about in these first two episodes. Overall, really enjoyed it. Love the world building, by the way. I almost forgot to talk about it. Fantasy and world building, yeah, of course. The world building is really great. I love it. I love how we are learning the world through visuals and dialogue, and not much exposition. Like moments where Frieren was talking to Heitar, I believe the name of the priest, and she was saying something along the lines of like, the goddess will not like what you're doing, or something like that. Like, that is world building. Now we know that there are gods and goddesses, or at least there is one god, and that god is female or feminine. Or like we don't know, but at least we know that there is a god, and that god is a goddess. Like that's cool. That is cool. Hearing about, yeah, there was a war back then, and then we see like the landscape being destroyed and such. Like, that's cool. Do I need to know all of these things? No, but I love the fact that I do know it now, because sometimes a lot of these fantasy shows and a lot of these fantasy stories in general, they want to, like the author obviously has crafted a world that is like rich with detail, and they want to show it all to you, the audience. They want to show it all, like, hey, look at this, and sometimes all of that isn't really necessary or important for the audience to know. Like, do I really need to know these 10,000 rules of like the world and such when only 5 of them is gonna be present throughout most of the story? No. It's cool that I know it, but I don't need to know all of it, if that makes sense. I know some fantasy nerds are gonna go like, no, you need to know all of them. And don't get me wrong, it's again like it's cool for me to learn about all of these things, but in the grand scheme of things, not all of it is necessary to be thrown at the audience for like, you know, for the plot and such. It's like when you are playing a video game. If you are playing a video game and obviously there's a lot of loot, obviously those loot has plenty of item descriptions, there's plenty of books that you can collect and read, you can learn more about the lore and such, but is that really entirely necessary for your enjoyment and your knowledge of the world? Because you don't really need to know these things. It's cool that you do know about these things, but you don't really need to know these things in order to enjoy the story. And sometimes a lot of authors, a lot of storytellers would like to immediately tell you, the audience, like, hey, look at this, look at this lore, look at this lore. And I'm like, that's cool, but at least show it to me differently. Don't shove it to me immediately, like right in front of me. Like, I don't like that. And Frieren does a really good job in that. We learn a lot about this world. We learn a lot through dialogue, through visuals, but it's not shoved in my face. That's cool. I enjoyed that. Maybe that's just me. Maybe some people prefer it the other way around. I mean, I don't know, but that's just my take on it. Anyways, all right, let's kind of break down the first episode and talk about some of the things that I may have missed or things that I may have not talked about during the review or discussion portion or during the reaction. I am going to skip the opening for a bit. A lot of really cool things in the opening, but I don't really want to talk much about it because I don't know. There are some things in the opening that are obviously for things that have not yet appeared. Like who is this girl? Like what about this dude and all of these other things then and all that stuff. And I kind of don't want to dive deeper into that just yet. Alright, so let's actually start from the beginning. At the northernmost end of the continent, I arrive at the place that the people of this world call heaven, Aureole, the land where souls rest. And this is not Frieren saying, no, this is somebody else. This is Flamen, I believe? Flame, the legendary mage. Many souls gather there, and I spoke with friends who once fought alongside me. So, I think that is going to be the overarching narrative. I feel like this can be the ultimate goal of this story, and that is to reach the northernmost end of the continent, the land where souls rest, the lands where our companions rest, the place where all of Frieren's previous partners have gone to, if we are to believe these opening lines. Many souls gather there, and I spoke with friends who once fought alongside me. I feel like that's going to be the case. I feel like Frieren is, or will eventually come to the realization of this, of these opening lines, wherever this may come from, maybe through a book, or through a passage, or through passing, or whatever, but that feels like good. I feel like that is a good push into a certain objective, because at this point I still have no idea like what is the ultimate objective of the story is, apart from Frieren just roaming around the continent, roaming around the world, and learning about other people and human connections and human emotions, and how she will soon be able to um, realize how precious time is and how she's going to deal with all of that throughout the journey, which I'm completely fine with. Like I'm all down for that. I really am. But what's driving her to that? And I feel like that could be the case. Like the moment when she is going to lose a lot more friends, a lot more characters, and a lot of other people that she may have many regrets not knowing them, or many regrets that she may have not given like any final words or final passing or whatever. Maybe, right? Hey, I mean, if I was given the opportunity to speak to someone who has passed away, even for a couple of minutes, just to, say something to them, like apologize, maybe something that I may have done in the past or whatever, or maybe just talk about like something good or whatever, like something that you want to get your chest off to them that you weren't able to do so when they were alive. If that is an opportunity that is given to me, chances are I'm probably going to take it. Maybe that's just me. Sometimes let the past die and let the dead die, and and all that stuff. But if given the opportunity, I feel like me and maybe some other people would probably would take it. So this is already interesting world building, right? Interesting world building that apparently, if we are to believe the words of the legendary mage here, then souls don't just go into a different astral plane of existence or whatever. No, there is actually a place in the mortal realm where you can go there. Maybe there's a well, granted, maybe there's like a portal in the northernmost border of the continent, and then you will go beyond into a different realm. Like maybe that's going to be the case. Like I don't know, but the thought of that excites me. I always kind of love the idea of when, especially in fantasy shows or fantasy stories, where if a character dies, like they don't really die, they just go to another plane of existence, like maybe heaven or hell or whatever forms of an afterlife that there are. But our characters can go there, and we can explore that world, and we can explore that place as well. I'm kind of a sucker for it. Like I kind of like it. I love that trope. I love it when characters go to the afterlife just so that they can get information from somebody who is dead, and then they meet all of the other characters that probably died along the journey, and then it's gonna have a nice little nostalgic reunion. Maybe some moments where they can interject some like really sad moments and really emotional moments as well for us, the audience, as well, and then they move on as well. Like I love that. I love that. I love that in my fantasy stories. And I love this map. It's very reminds me a lot of Westeros, where it's like a singular continent. Obviously, there should be another continent over here, but I love that we just have just this. Pretty easy to know, and this being called the Middle Sea, which means there should be something here, right? And we just don't know that yet. The Dark Continent, like something like that. Love it. I love it. We cut to the beginning of the episode, where our party member, our campaign is completed. Our heroes have vanquished the Demon King, and they are returning to the world of man. They are returning to the capital city or whatever, and they're like, yep, the journey is over. We defeated the Demon King. Now what? I love that. I love that. So they go into the city. love this shot where apparently I think all of this is just 2D animated, or at least they hand drawn or track from a 3D environment. I don't know, but it's definitely 2D. That is crazy. Or maybe it is just really good 3D, and I was just bamboozled. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. I really do love how interactive the world is. I say interactive as if I'm playing a video game, but I love how alive the world feels. I love that immediately here we're getting a bit of like world building and just, you know, establishing like the culture of this world, the culture of this city, this human city at least. Very religious as well. Obviously, it's looking at all of these like characters holding the candles and all that such. Like really big parade. Everybody's like coming in, thanking the heroes after what they have done. Eisenhater, Hemmel, and of course Frieren, the mage. Wonder if we're gonna be meeting Flame. I still don't know how to pronounce that. Flame or Flam? I think Flame. Wonder if we're gonna be meeting that mage. Maybe she is also. Well, I mean, I'm assuming her gender now. Maybe Flame is also an elf, just like Frieren. So they must have also lived really long lives as well, just like Frieren. And maybe we could have like a, kind of like a mentor and student interaction. Even though Frieren is pretty much not a student at all, but it's more so that it's more so about the experience and the age gap, right? Thank you for defeating the Demon King. Fucking crazy. We saw this in episode 2, I believe, right? This statue of I'm going to assume the goddess, because we do know that they have a god and that god is a goddess. I just don't know how many other gods in this world exist, right? We only know one so far. But I do love this. And it's also I think it's also an elf. Or at least it's trying to symbolize an elf because of the ears. But obviously it has like a singular wing, right? Just like the statue that we saw in the second episode when the party was going there, and then the statue is in ruins. Could also explain why Frieren was quote unquote attached to that place, given she was the one who gave life to it. Very cool, very interesting. Also, hang on, wait a minute. 4 birds circling this goddess. I want to go back. Okay, I thought I was being clever here and thought that there was like 4 birds as well here, but no. So we defeated the Demon King, and now the world will enter a new age of peace. I love this. I love this image so much. So, Demon King vanquished, right? That is the imagery, right? We got the skull. We got the skull with the horns and such. We got like the knight over here, and then it says Chapter 6, the last battle. It's like we just witnessed like the last chapter of a really long and arduous journey that lasted for like 10 years, right? This was like the finale of whatever campaign this was. The last battle, Chapter 6. It is complete. Oh, I love that. Hang on. I love that. These fireworks is symbolizing a mage or a wizard. Really cool. And then of course they vanquish evil. They vanquish the Demon King, and everything is gone. And then the new era of peace begins. And everybody's happy, everybody's dancing. This is what I was saying in the review and in the episode itself, right? This is essentially the ending of a story, the ending of a really long adventure. You know, The characters have defeated evil, they have defeated the antagonist, the villain, and now they're back. They're being, everybody's celebrating, they're being rewarded, they are given medals and appreciation, and everybody's dancing. We got a really cool dance sequence and all that stuff. And everybody's smiling, and then that's it. End of the story. It's crazy that we get that in the beginning of the story, because that is exactly what type of story this is. Really cool, really cool. And again, like I said, I love how alive the world feels. Really cool stuff. And I love the character animation in this show. Like some of the characters, how the characters move and how the characters react with each other. Good stuff. All of this whole sequence where they're just talking about like their past adventure, you kind of feel I kind of feel nostalgic. I feel nostalgic even though I don't know this. We don't know this at all. And yet the way they present it, the way they talk about it, the way they express this, like, hey, remember this battle, remember this story, remember this fight. Remember when you got eaten by a mimic? It's so well done. It is so well done. It really does feel like a D&D campaign that just finished, and then everybody who's playing it is like, okay, well, that's that. Time to go. Gotta do some other things, right? And then you meet each other again after years later, and you're like, oh shit, we grew old. Love this sequence. Really cool. Really fun. And then after they see all of that, after making promises of like, yeah, 50 years later, we're gonna be finding like a better place to see that. And of course they did eventually. And then they go. And then they go off their own separate ways. I love this montage where we literally see the world and everything just grow, right? Like see here, like the trees are growing. I love that. You see all of the adventures that Frieren went. Hang on. So this dude was pretty, I would say, young, like a young adult, right? And now he's old. Still wearing the monocle, but now he's old. I love that. The passage of time is instant for her because she does not feel time. That's the problem. She lives for almost hundreds of years, thousands even. I mean, I still don't know whether or not she is immortal. I don't think she is immortal. I feel like she just lives for thousands of years, which also it also begs the question of like, what is her age, right? Because she looks young, obviously, but it's a matter of like how she is mentally speaking is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, she is looking for that horn, and then we eventually got that horn like 50 years later. Love this montage, seeing all of her exploits, the things that she does, raises the flowers, exploring this cave. I love this sequence. I love this moment where she's just going, and then we have this really cool effect of the crystals and everything moving, and it's all in 2D. Really good. Really good. And of course, gets in. Yeah. Goes back to the world of man. Sees Himmel, now old. Catching up to old time's sake. gives the horn back to, yeah. The statue that we never saw, right? Because in the beginning of the episode, they were like, we're gonna be building a statue to you. We never saw that statue being built, but now we see the statue, and the statue's already old, it's rusty, it's dirty, it's rugged, it's been years. And I just love how wholesome it is. It's just like, ready to go to the shower? To the meteor shower? not go to the shower. that's wrong. I love how wholesome it is, but I also, it's that instantaneous feeling, right? We are just like Frieren. Instantaneous. It all happens in the blink of an eye. For all of them, we just lost like we lost 50 years with them. We don't know what happened to them. We don't know what they did, the adventures that they've went through, the other things that they have done. We don't know. We only know what Frieren has gone through because we are Frieren in this case, right? And she only remembers like the big things. She only remembers like the bigger moments, the memories that stood out the most. But not all of them. Then they meet the gang, and off they go. Then we have another montage of them just journeying around. I love this world a lot. It's very atmospheric. It really is. This sequence was really good. Like, really, really good. And that is a big dog. They killed the dog, so, yeah. Dog owners. But it feels so good. It looks so good. They finally reached this place. This looks like a crater. Even though it's just a lake, but it feels like a crater. I don't like I'm curious. I'm curious to know about this world. It's making me curious about what is going on in this world and what happened and the history behind it. Moments pass. Emil dies. Tree, I don't know the significance of this tree. But I do love the look of this monastery, this I guess this church that they are currently at. Set on realization, it hits, and now he's being buried. All of these adventures, man, all of these adventures that we miss. We don't know these adventures at all. These are all fleeting moments and fleeting memories. And I love that the both of them just gives her emotional support by just, like patting her on the head, like, hey, we got you, don't worry. And she's very defensive. Don't pat me on the head. This is interesting. What is this? She is holding a ring. And pretty sure we have not seen anybody give her a ring at all. So, who gave her the ring? I think it's kind of implied that it's Emil? I think that is the implication. And if it is, then what is the significance? What does it mean? Because rings, obviously, for most of us, represent a bond. It represents engagement. It represents love. It represents, hey, I want to be with you forever. Marriage. So I'm not sure what the significance of this ring is for Frieren. Is it possible that Himmel once proposed to Frieren, or has express his love and Frieren rejected him? I don't know. I don't know. Because Frieren is fidgeting with it and she's looking at it and you see that eyes and I'm like, what are you thinking? Like for real, what is she thinking? I don't know. I want to know. But there is significance with that ring and I feel like we're going to see that significance much later on within the show. Because why would they show it and then not explore or explain it further? And then off they go. Heitar left. Everybody left. 20 years have passed then. Love that we are kind of mimicking back to what happened in the beginning of the episode. We venture into the city and now we go out into the city. Once again, continuing our journey. 20 years after the death of Himmel the hero on the outskirts of the holy city of Strahl in the Central Lands. And I love that we are kind of pinpointing or we are using the death of Himmel as a point of reference for the time that we are in, because a couple of minutes later we're going to be seeing like 26 years have passed ever since Himmel's death, and then 27 years have passed ever since Himmel's death and stuff like that. Crazy, dude. We met Fern when she's just like she was a cute little girl and then she's all grown up. Like, time does fly. Time does fly. Don't see anything significant here, but it is pretty obvious at this point that Heitar wanted this because he just wants to spend more time with Frieren, and I think that is wholesome. That is very wholesome. When Frieren said, yeah, this might take 7 or 8 years to decipher, great, 7 and 8 years with you. Because he wants to spend the rest of his, like, yes, I get it. I get it, man. Just spending more time with your friends, and it's this show is great in showcasing that how precious time is. 5 or 6 years. Yeah. 5 or 6 years with you. Awesome. More memories to make. More memories to make, but as we see in the second episode, those memories are fleeting, very fleeting. Because our time, those 5-6 years with Heitar, it's Heitar, right? Heitar. Heitar. But those couple of years with Heitar flies. It flies. It's only for like a couple of minutes. Boom, 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 boom. And then suddenly, he's already old. Suddenly, he's already bedridden. Suddenly, he's already dead. 5 to 6 years. And 5 to 6 years to, of course, to make sure that Fern remembers and also learn about magic casting and all that stuff. Like, this show does a really good job at playing with time. Playing with time and making us exactly feel like Frieren. How do I connect with a character that is almost essentially immortal and has lived years and years and years into the future? How do you connect with that? And I feel like by showcasing the passage of time through these montages is exactly what makes it so effective to me. Because here's the thing. This is not the first time that I've seen this type of story before. There is a movie, an anime movie. I'm not going to mention its name because I feel like some people, some of you may have not seen that movie before and you want to see that movie, but you have no idea about like the story or the premise of it, so I'm not going to say. But there is an anime movie out there that deals with this similar idea. If you have seen the movie, then I think you know exactly what movie that I'm talking about. But essentially, it involves around two characters. One character is, I don't remember if, one character lives for a very long time, hundreds, thousands of years. The other character is a normal human being, and we see their relationship and their dynamic from when this human character was a baby up until they grow older and older and older. And we see that dynamic, and we see how the other character remains the same age, the same look, the same physical appearance, and while the other grows older and matures. A lot of people really love that movie. I didn't. I did not enjoy that movie. I'm sorry. It has a lot of cool ideas. It has a lot of cool ideas, but I feel like the execution wasn't for me. It is missing that sense of time that has passed, because they're trying to show it. Because with each couple of minutes, we are focusing on a different timeline. Like this is when they are when this person is a 5-year-old, and then here's how they are when this person is a 12-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 40-year-old, and all that stuff. And I don't know why, but it wasn't that effective to me. And I could not relate to the character that is growing old, the character that is stagnant, the character that is not growing at all. Even though you're supposed to, even though by the end there is an emotional climax, and it is the moment where you're supposed to be tearing up. And I didn't feel that. And I felt that in this episode, in these two episodes. And I think that has to do with how it presents time. Frieren being a character who lives for a very long time, but also a character who is unaware of time. Time doesn't mean much for Frieren. Time is a trifling thing, as they say in episode 1. And they hammer that down really well. She does not feel that time has passed. We as an audience also don't feel that time has passed. Those montages breeze by. 50 years breezed by. And we as an audience, at least me, I didn't feel that 50 years have passed. Until I meet Himmel once again and realize, oh shit, 50 years have passed. That hits. That is the realization of, oh shit, I missed out 50 years with you. And I wish I could connect with you more. And that is how the show got to me. It is insane that I felt so much emotion. I mean, granted, I didn't like heavy cry in the moment, but I feel so much emotion deep down, which I kind of lay it out and express more during the review discussion if you've seen if you've seen it. But I feel that emotion because I wish I could have had more time with you. I wish I could have spent more time. You seem like a really good dude. They all do. They seem like a really good party. They seem like characters that I would love. And I couldn't get that. I don't know these people. And it saddens me because I feel like I would have loved these people. And it's crazy that the show managed to make me feel that way, because in any other show I would be like, yeah, I don't care. I don't know you. Why would I feel it for you? Why should I care for you? I don't know you. And here is the opposite. I care for you because I don't know you, because I want to know you, because Frieren wanted to know you and she couldn't. And that's sad. For me, that is very sad. And to me, that is also very effective. It is effective in making me connect to Frieren, and it is effective in making me understand and take the themes and the ideas of this show a lot more seriously. Because now we are essentially back to zero. Now we are back with a new character that we are going to be spending more time with. Now I'm going to be connecting with other people. I'm going to be connecting to Fern. I'm going to be connecting to that other dude in the opening that has red hair. I'm going to be connecting to all of these other characters that I'm going to be meeting along the way. And when the moment comes, it is going to hurt a lot more. And I think that moment is what I'm eager to see from Frieren. I don't know if we're going to be spending like the entire story with them, or if the show is bold enough, if this story is bold enough to, let's say, kill off Fern in like the end of the first core, and then we continue on the second core with a brand new party with brand new characters, and then we're gonna be spending time with them, and then they're gonna die, and then we're gonna be meeting new characters as well. If that is the show that we're gonna be going with, and they are able to keep this momentum, keep this presentation, and keep this level of writing and connection, and of course presentation. Did I say presentation twice? I think I did. But they're able to maintain all of that. Home run. Home run. Each episode needs to convey a certain, or tell a certain message though. Because these two episodes, as I mentioned, is slow in pace, which contrasts heavily with the actual pacing of the narrative. I am really looking forward to the show. I really am. I really hope that this show is able to keep that momentum. I really do. Okay, so moving on from this scene, pour one drink. This was really cool. Really sweet. And I love that we are just showing like their adventures and their escapades, if you will. Like it's really sweet. I love this. Adventure. This I talked about during the reaction, but I love how establishing shot, village, eye points towards center of the screen, the blue building, the blue roofed building, because it is the one that is most eye-catching, right? Focusing on this. Next scene, still in the center, but now we are in the village. Like the building itself is still in the center, so our eye is still focused on that specific moment. So when we cut to this, it stays connected. It's so fluent. A lot of shows don't do this. Terrible editing, by the way. Like the way they go establishing shot, inside the establishing shot, and then character. Like boom, focus on this. Boom, focus on this. We go down, we focus on our characters because now we have visibility on our characters, and then boom, characters. Love it. I love it. Then I also can't believe I've only clocked in at the very end of this episode, but yeah, this old woman, yeah, that's her. Like, I can't believe I didn't notice that, even though now that I am looking at it, she has like the same hairstyle, also working on flowers. She's a florist ever since she was young. The details, man, the details. I love it. This was cool. Very cool. And they even made a transition. I missed that. I'm sorry. This was like the most obvious transition to like, yeah, that's the girl and now she's old. I'm not focused. Just seeing these just makes me like, I really wish I know these characters more, and it makes me more sad. But the rest of this episode is really cool. It's just them trying to find these blue seeded flowers. This was also a really cool sequence. Like look at that. They're just she's just flipping around this leaf. It's so good. Why is this flipping of the leaf good? It looks so good. Great use of motion. There's gravity to it. There's weight to it. It's good. It's good. I'm gushing. I am gushing. And so weeks have passed. Months have passed once again. I'm sure she'd understand if you honestly conveyed those feelings to her. And I love how we don't really hear those confession. Like, we don't really need to know that. We know that she's about to confess. We kind of know basically like how these dialogues are gonna go. We don't need to hear it. Just look, just visually show it. That's great. That is great. Yeah, statue of the goddess. Found a blue seed. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. And this is why I feel like these first two episodes go hand in hand together, and why I feel like the second episode is a good stopping point. Episode 1, Himmel dies. Frieren regrets that she is unable to fully connect with him. She is unable to know more about him. Second episode, we end with Frieren remembering about Himmel, remembering about the things that he loves, remembering about this specific thing that he has spoken to her, and then honoring him by putting the flowers on his head the way he did it to her all those years ago. As a kind of like a proper farewell. Yeah. Pretty good set of episodes. Okay, that is pretty much it for me. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you are still here for some reason, I don't know why you're still here, but hey, thank you if you are still here. Then hit the like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you want more. I don't know when I'll be doing more Frieren because I need to figure out the schedule first. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing Frieren the same day that it's released, because obviously I am now like 2 episodes behind because I don't know when I want to do 3 and 4. But I'll probably figure that out like tomorrow. Who knows? I don't know. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you want to support the channel further, then you can hop on over to the Patreon, links in the description below. You can get early access to a bunch of other reactions and such. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And share your thoughts in the comment section down below, like what you guys think of this episode, these set of episodes. How do you guys feel about the reaction? If you want to explain more to me, like some of the things that I may have missed, do so, as long as it's not spoilers, because I am an anime only. So, with all that being said, thank you all so much, and I will see you all next time. Take care, have a nice day. Peace.